Welcome. It's great to see such a great turnout here today. I know that for a lot of us, it is a big thing in Louisiana to stand up and say that we believe in choice and that we believe in women, because this is one of the toughest states in America for women to live in. Now, I want to introduce our state chair, Ashley Baggett, and she has become a very good friend of mine, and I'd like to tell you all why. I was a Republican, and my party left me. And it was a very, very sad moment for me when I woke up and realized that a party that believed in family planning, that believed in choice, where Barry Goldwater's wife founded one of the largest Planned Parenthoods in the country, had now made Planned Parenthood a pariah. That disgusted me. A party that stood to pass the Violence Against Women Act now could barely stand for its passage in the Senate. I'd like to thank Senator Vitter, who seems to have a very unique relationship with women, for voting for the bill. So what happened is that I was realizing that 20 years ago, after I read and worshiped all the words in Backlash, after I spoke out for Republicans for Choice in college at Columbia, which made me very, very strange. I was a specimen, this strange Republican for Choice, standing there in Laura Ashley, saying that I believed that women had a right to choose and that abortion rights mattered. Why do they matter to me? My grandfather and my father are physicians. They knew the back alley. They saw women die in the emergency room on a regular basis. My father graduated from medical school in Texas in 1973, and he and I were talking, watching this war on women. He was shocked at the threats to our reproductive freedom because we realized he was in the last class of medical school graduates who knew the back alley, who knew the world before Roe versus Wade. He's 64. He's about to retire. There are very few physicians left who know the world before. All of these things called me to talk to Ashley one day. I said, I can't believe this, what's happening to abortion rights. And then I looked and I realized that what I was reading and I thought was abortion rights was about birth control. I said, Ashley, what's the deal? What's happened to us with birth control? Why is this a problem? Why is something that for 100 years ago women have fought for is still a problem? And we started discussing it. And I realized that though I wanted to be different in college, and I was one of those, I'm not a feminist but people, I said, you know what, Ashley, you've made me realize I'm a feminist and I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to know little Gloria here, as I like to call her, because her voice is a powerful one, as a mother, as a survivor, as a historian, as a friend. And so I'd like to introduce Ashley Baggett, our chairman, who has been inspirational to me, and I hope to all of you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Baggett, as she introduced me, Ashley introduced me. When we think of Louisiana, we have a lot of things that come to mind. We think about crawfish, we think about how we love our music, and we love going to, Jazz Fest and so many things, and all those things are going on this weekend. We look and we see the Bicentennial Fest. We know Louisianans like to have a good time. But there's another side to Louisiana we need to keep. We can't bury our heads in the sand. We cannot ignore. And this is the problem with the way women are being treated, the way they're regarded in our government nationally and in the state. We have many speakers today who will talk on various women's issues. Some people will be talking about the Pay Equity Acts. Some people will be talking about reproductive freedom. Some people will be talking about victim blaming for domestic and sexual assaults against women. Nearly 1,000 bills have been proposed on the national and state level that are anti-woman laws that are against women's equality. And this has been a trend that has been occurring since the late 60s, early 70s. We see rights for women being limited, being taken away, being chipped away slowly. And this is really coming to the forefront this presidential election year, and we have to take notice. Why am I involved? Why do I find this incredibly important? Well, I am a survivor of domestic abuse. In my first marriage, I was married to a man who basically thought he had to wear the pants in the family. And of course, as you can see, I'm very opinionated. And this didn't go over well. And I think probably the night that it really woke me up that there are severe problems the way women are treated was the night that he came home and had an argument with me about the way something should have been in the household. And I remember him throwing me up against the wall, shattering a picture frame, and then throwing me on the wall. And this was one of the few times he actually punched me. Usually he was a choker, or he would hit where you couldn't really see. Well, he started punching me in the face, and my little girl, because we had a child, was sitting on the couch crying. And as he moved away, she crawled over to me on top of my body as I was still on the ground, "Mama, mama, mama," and it broke my heart. That here I am, I'm not only not protecting myself and standing up for myself, but I'm allowing my daughter to see what can happen to her, the way women are treated, and this is not okay. And that's when I started realizing I have to be a voice. I have to be a voice to stop this. I have to be a voice to stop domestic violence and the way women are treated. I wish to say that my story was very rare, but unfortunately a lot of women have the similar experiences as I do. Every year, 2 to 4 million Americans are abused in their homes. 90% of these are women. In Louisiana, every 12 seconds, a woman is abused. And Louisiana ranks second in the number of homicides from domestic abuse. Second. That is not acceptable. But aside from that, we have children suffering, and we have enormous cost that domestic violence that incurs. About $5.8 billion a year. That's what it's costing us because of all the damages, all the emergency room visits that women are having to go to hospitals for. And yet, what are our politicians saying? Well, we have decriminalization of domestic violence in Topeka, Kansas. We have a Wisconsin representative saying, quote, if they can refine those reasons and get back to why they got married in the first place, it might help.
Oh, bullshit.
As a woman, as a mother of 3 and a survivor of domestic violence, I say this is unacceptable. I know from firsthand experience that abuse doesn't stop. Remembering the better times did not make my husband stop beating me, my first husband stop beating me or choking me or punching me. Remembering better times did not heal the emotional damage caused by domestic violence. The only thing remembering better time does is reinforce to women and men, girls and children that victims are somehow accountable for their crimes against their person. I remember when I sought help from the police, and the police went and called another police officer in and said, "Oh, you got hit good, didn't you?" Like I was a spectacle for coming in and asking for help. I went to my then father-in-law and I said, "Please, I know your son respects you. Can you please talk to him and make him stop?" And he said, "What did you do to provoke him? What did you do to provoke him?" I disagreed with him. Is that cause enough to beat me? That's what I did. So this message is so internalized by society, by men and women, by girls and boys, that somehow a woman is accountable, somehow she provokes abuse against her, and this victim blaming is not okay. We have to do something to make it stop. It is a multifaceted problem, and we have to be honest with ourselves. How do we curb domestic violence? Already 60% of first-time offenders serve no jail time for domestic abuse. None. 60%. Of the offenders arrested, fewer than 10% were sentenced to an Alternatives to Violence program and actually completed them. So those who get arrested and choose to go to an educational program, fewer than 10% actually complete this program. So how are we going to deal with this gender-based violence? What do these statistics show? It shows that domestic violence is not taken seriously. As that Wisconsin senator said, remember the better times. Domestic violence is not taken seriously, not in politics, not in society, and moreover, women are not valued as they should. If our political leaders and criminal justice systems seek to reduce protection and rights of women, this teaches girls and boys that women are not important. And the consequences for such a mindset have far-reaching implications. These practices, along with the media, teach children to see women as objects that are only valued for their beauty and ability to have children and not as human beings. How can we expect our voices to be heard when the dominant message is that women are not valuable? That's why we are here. This is why we have to take a stand. We have to say enough is enough.